Today we have the 2019 Nissan Rogue, and the Rogue has been one of the best-selling vehicles in America, and for good reason. It does a lot of what people are looking for, and it gives you quite a few features. Well, for 2019, nothing's really changed for the Rogue, but its competitors have upgraded. So we're gonna see exactly what this thing has to offer and see if it's still worthy of the sales. Let's get started. What's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in for this 2019 Nissan Rogue review. So just like before, there are still three trims, the S, SV, SL, not including the hybrids, and we have the SL right here, but there are several packages that you can get that differentiate all of those. I do have a review on the SV Midnight package if you want to check that out. But let's get started quick on the exterior here. So standard, all Rogues will get LED daytime running lights. It's kind of that little wink, that little check mark type thing on the inside of the light right there. All of them will also get halogen headlight bulbs, except ours comes with a package to give us LED headlights. The LED headlights really are not as good as some competitors based off of what I've seen at nighttime. The SL trim also gives us fog lights down there. Those are halogen fog lights. It'd be nice to see LED fog lights just to match with the LED headlights, but not a huge deal. They do help out a little bit at night for up close and perimeter lighting. This still has Nissan's V-Motion grille. It is fairly small, unlike the new redesigned Altima. I'd expect them to expand that. This color is called Caspian Blue, and I would love to know what you guys think. I think it looks pretty sharp. It's not too bright, not too dark either. It looks pretty good. What do y'all think of the looks of the Rogue in general? I think it's aging pretty well. I think it's got a pretty nice design for a crossover of this generation. The wheel sizes are going to range from 17 to 19, and of course our top trim has these 19-inch wheels, and you get vented disc brakes in the front and in the back. 225 wood tires will sit on there, so you should have some pretty decent grip. And depending on what trim level you get, the base S will give you black exterior accents, and the SV will give you chrome accents like what we have right here. You can see our chrome door handles and on the bottom of the vehicle as well. The SV trim and up will give you these LED turn signals in here. The blind spot indicators on the inside of the vehicle, but these mirrors actually reverse tilt as well. So when you're backing up, they tilt down to see next to the vehicle. You can also see more chrome trim running around the windows, and we do have roof rails on here as well. If you're curious about the length, the Rogue is 185 inches, which is pretty big for this class. It's a couple inches bigger than some of its leading competitors. The Nissan Murano is 192 inches, and so this Rogue is definitely pretty good size, but it shows on the inside. And then rounding out the back, we have LED taillights, kind of another little V action, check mark type action right there. More chrome trim back here as well to kind of stand out as the top trim, and we have the SL all-wheel drive, and then just one single exhaust outlet down below. Some of the driver assist features, Nissan's gone all in on a lot of this stuff. There's a variety of systems. It will have automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic alert, rear automatic braking, rear parking sonar, lane departure warning with steering assist, intelligent radar cruise control that is full speed, rear door alert to remind you to check the back seat, and automatic high beams, and we get all of those on our top trim. Cargo space is king for the Rogue. This is me just being dramatic, pretending like I have a lot of stuff carry, but on the SV trim and up, you get this motion activated lift gate. So all you gotta do, as long as you have the key fob on you, stick your foot under there. There we go. And this cargo area is actually pretty cool and pretty cavernous. Let me show you more about it. The Rogue has this cool thing called divide and hide cargo area. So we've got two movable trays right here, and there's several different ways that you can move them, and you can kind of move them however you want really. But first of all, let's get this thing out of the way. And it takes a little bit of messing around, but you can drop it down. You can drop this one down, so you've got a deeper cargo area with some shelving to kind of keep things in order. You can move this thing way up here, and I'm not used to doing this, so excuse me. You can have it way up there. You can put this one back in kind of on the top if you want to. And it takes a little bit getting used to. There's just a whole bunch of different stuff that you can do with it. You can have it kind of divide things however you really want to. So it's pretty neat, all the things that you can do. Now let me give you a closer look. So underneath of here, we actually have a spare tire, which is nice. There's a 12-volt power outlet over there. There's several tie downs, little metal tie downs, a couple on each side, but I don't actually see any grocery hooks. But you have a spot for a tonneau cover as well with the little hook right there. Behind here is 39.3 cubic feet, and then let me go ahead and fold the seats down. You could reach through from the back to try to do this, but there's nothing in the actual cargo area to do that. And you can remove that first aid kit And if you have the cargo floor up, it will be pretty flat with the seat. You do that to both sides, and this will give you 70 cubic feet, which is actually bigger than the larger Nissan Murano. The SV trim and up will give you this Nissan's smart key system, and it's got push button start and remote start. It is slim. I don't really care how it looks all that much, but it feels a little bit cheap. That's just one little complaint. But the way it works is there's just one button to lock it or to unlock it. So pretty easy to use, simple enough. And the remote start actually activates the climate control, so that's pretty cool as well. Hopping into the front seats of the Rogue, it's really easy. It's a really nice height. It's easy to just slide in. And the seats, the base S will give you 6-way manual, but once you get to the SV trim, you'll get the 8-way power adjustable with lumbar support. The passenger will still be 4-way adjustable though. These seats are also heated from the SV trim and up, and at 5'9", when I'm sitting here, sitting up straight, I've got the seat about mid-range, not too low, but not real high either. And I still have a lot of space above my head. So they're very spacious seats. I don't really have a problem with my knee running into the dash or anything either, so I feel pretty comfortable. The seats themselves are very comfortable and soft. For someone heavier and bigger, these might not be supportive enough, but they are very soft and comfortable for me. I feel like the headrest is slightly slanted forward, a little bit too much, but our top SL trim gives us the premium package, which gives us memory seats, as well as the optional Platinum Reserve interior, giving us the tan leather with the quilted leather inserts, and it's a really nice place to be. And these are Nissan's zero gravity seats, and that's just a perfect name because they're very comfortable. That premium package also gives us a heated steering wheel. This is leather wrapped. It's manual tilt and telescoping like that with a decent range of motion. The one thing, if you might be looking for it in this class, this does not offer ventilated seats. All right, let me give you a quick look at the interior. First of all, here's our memory settings for our seats. I like this grab handle right here. It helps you, it feels pretty solid when you shut the door. Got a really soft plush armrest, which is nice. This is hard touch by your elbow, but you can rest your arm up here and it's soft touch up there. My large bottle does fit in here, and there's a little bit of extra storage space there as well. Right on the inside here, we've got a lot of buttons. So you've got traction control, your steering assist when cruise control is on, open up your hatch, your fuel door, heated steering wheel on here. Like I said, you can lock your all-wheel drive, so you've got even split power between all wheels. Probably won't use it, but it's nice to know it's there. And then your sport and eco mode button, which is kind of annoying that they're over here and you actually have to look to touch it and kind of know where it's at. It's just not as convenient as other places. The steering wheel is leather wrapped and heated, like I said. It's got a decent shape and width to it. It's even a flat bottom steering wheel and some little grips up here. The whole entire wheel is heated, which is nice. However, I don't like the way it feels. It just kind of feels cheap for being a leather steering wheel. It's not real plush or anything, just a small complaint. Got typical controls for your radio, your information display, your cruise control, your distance settings right there, voice monitor, voice controls as well. Push button start is back here, foot on the brake, hit the button. Nissan's instrument cluster is pretty typical, and this is the top of the line instrument cluster. There's no big digital display or anything. I would expect them to kind of modernize it a little bit with the next redesign, but there's truly a lot of information that you can scroll through on here, and you can customize what even shows up on here as well. And you've got a good trip computer, you've got your safety settings that you can see, compass, so it works really well. I've had no complaints with it. The rest of the interior does have a bit of a dated look. There are some mixes of softer and harder materials, but everywhere your elbow goes and your legs and all that has some nice soft touches to it, including this area up on the dash, which just kind of adds a nice look to it. Nissan gives us a 7-inch touchscreen. It's got a lot of piano black around it, and I don't think it looks quite as modern as some of the new ones, but everything is really functional. That's the main thing. You've got some real physical buttons for some shortcuts on here. We've got navigation on our top trim, of course. The volume and tuning knob feel a little bit cheap and have a little bit of movement to them, but at least you've got some real physical knobs. We even have a 360-degree camera. It's really helpful when you're backing up and all of that. It's something really nice to have in any tight spaces. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are standard on here, as well as Sirius XM with the package, and then navigation with the package as well. It'll range from a 4 to a 6 to a 9 speaker system that we have right here. We have the 9 speaker Bose with 2 subwoofers. The SV trim will give you the dual zone climate control. Everything is very straightforward and easy to use. No troubles with that. Just below that, we have a USB port, a 12-volt power outlet, a little storage bin that has a little bit of texture to it, but it doesn't really fit a larger phone, and it has to be plugged into here if you want to use like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. So it'd be nice to have a better spot to put a phone or something like that. Electronic parking brake and the automatic brake hold button. Pretty standard shifter right here. You've got a section where you can move it over for plus and minus to kind of manually mimic the shifts. Let's put it in reverse, and then that will automatically pop up your around view camera, and you do have dynamic guidance lines and rear parking sonar. Next to our legs, we have not necessarily padding, but just a nice material on each side, so that's something that is welcome and just looks nice. The cup holders are good size. My large bottle fits in here no problem. It doesn't really get in the way if I have to shift. The one thing is that there's no like pieces or things to accommodate smaller, skinnier drinks. Here are our 2-tier heated seat functions on each side and another little storage bin right there. And my phone does fit in there if I have it standing upright. The center console is decent size. It's a little bit thin to share with a passenger, but it is soft and plush. It does not move forward or anything. It just pops up, and it's just one tier like that with a USB port. But that USB port does not function for Apple CarPlay or things like that. Then there's a 12-volt power outlet, and those are the only 2 USB ports you get in here. Pretty standard glove box from Nissan. It is soft opening, and it's actually fairly deep. It's a little bit bigger than it looks. Right up above, we have garage controls with an automatic dimming rearview mirror as well. The visors are really massive, and they actually slide, so they're really low, which is really nice at some bright times of the day. And even though we have a panoramic moonroof, we still have a sunglass holder. There's our moonroof, our sunroof right there, and the panoramic sunroof is optional on the SV trim and up. As I always like to do, let's take a look at visibility. That front pillar's a little bit large, but as you go back, that back window's not too bad, and you've got a little bit of a window right there. Pretty standard for a crossover, just to give you an idea. And the blind spot indicators are actually right inside the pillar. It's that little thing right there. So it's not in the mirror, it's in the pillar, just so you know. Now, hopping into the back seat of the Rogue, still pretty easy to get in here. And one thing that my passengers have told me is that they feel like they're sitting up kind of high, and you really are. It's almost like stadium seating compared to the front seats. So that could help with visibility, looking over the headrest and stuff, and just having a better view back here. But with myself, 5'9", sitting up tall, I have a little bit of headroom. I don't actually have as much as I was expecting, and that might be because of this panoramic roof. There's a significant dip right here, right where my head goes, but I can still sit up tall without being bothered. These seats are also still really comfortable. They scoot forward and backwards, and with them all the way forward, my knees are in the back of the seat, which is just a little further than where I would normally sit, but you can find a good range. And with them all the way back, I've got really good knee space, pretty good foot space. The back seat gives us air vents, but there's no USBs or no 12-volt power outlet back here. You just have the air vents right here in the middle. It does give us a center armrest, but you have to pull this in order to let it down. You can't just grab it and pull it down like some, but then that'll give you 2 cup holders with a hard plastic edge. It'd be nice to see this maybe padded like most other competitors. And then in addition to the sliding forward and backwards, these seats can also recline, at least a little bit. If I was gonna sit in the middle, there's not much of a hump in the middle, so I can sit here, and now my head is actually touching the roof. Anybody shorter than me would probably be okay. Under the hood of the Nissan Rogue, there's 2 powertrain options technically if you include the hybrid, but most people won't get the hybrid. Otherwise, like this one right here, you'll have the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine that's paired with the CVT transmission. The power output with that setup is 170 horsepower, 175 pound-feet of torque, and miles per gallon. Front-wheel drive will be 26 in the city, 33 on the highway, and all-wheel drive 25 in the city, 32 on the highway. And the hybrid will bump that up to 33 city, 35 highway with front-wheel drive. All right, everyone, we are on the road in the Rogue. So Please excuse my voice first of all. For the last couple videos, I've been dealing with some stuff in my throat. It has been really raspy, so I apologize for that. So I've shown you everything about the Rogue on the interior, the cargo space, and all of that, and that's the best part about the Rogue is probably the space and the features that it offers, because driving this thing it lacks compared to its competitors. My first impression about it is that it doesn't feel quite as solid as some of the vehicles that I've recently been in, most notably like the CX-9, but that also had a more powerful engine too. For most people's daily life, the Rogue is going to be perfect in the way it drives. It's got some pretty light steering. The steering wheel is very light and easy to move. There's no labor involved with that. It's got a pretty soft ride. That's one of the best things about it. There's not a whole bunch of body lean. There is some. It's not going to handle like a race car, of course, but it just gets you from A to B with no fuss. All right, we're just in normal mode. I'm going to get on it a little bit. And if you're not familiar with driving a CVT, you probably won't really notice it if you don't pay that much attention to it. But if you enjoy driving and if you enjoy that, you'll definitely notice that the CVT transmission, it can be kind of loud and obnoxious at times. And that's one thing about it. I've driven some CVTs that operate better, and this is not necessarily one of the best ones. We're on a louder textured road right now, kind of a rocky surface, and it lets a little bit of road noise in. That's one thing. It lets more road noise in than I was expecting, more than the CX-9 that I was recently in. But when you're not on a rougher road like this, there's really not a lot of wind noise or anything that bothers you in the cabin. These windows are laminated, so they're dual pane pretty much, and overall it can be a pretty quiet ride, except when you get on a rougher textured road. During my time with the Rogue, I haven't noticed a single rattle. There's no odd vibrations or anything, so that is definitely in check and very good. I just put it in sport mode, and that's floored. And that was up to a little over 50. In sport mode, if you keep it there, it will keep your RPMs high. And as you could tell, the CVT kind of mimicked some shifts. So it's not just gonna wind the whole time and just keep you at a high RPM. It will simulate a downshift. We're back in normal mode, and like I said, the steering is lightweight. It's very easy to maneuver. It's easy to park. It's not real precise, and on windy days, it feels like it kind of blows you around a little bit, and it just doesn't feel as stable as some vehicles would be. But Nissan has intelligent trace control to actually help you in your cornering, and with roads and bumpy roads, it actually uses the brake system a little bit to help smooth out some bumps, called active ride control. And it's a pretty smooth cabin, especially for this class. One thing to note, if you're hauling around a lot of people, I had 2 people in the back seat, not big people at all, and when I was trying to get up to highway speeds, I had this thing floored and I felt like we were barely moving. So once you get some weight in here, it definitely does feel underpowered, especially compared to some of its competitors. But the good thing is, it actually has a decent amount of torque, more torque than horsepower, which can help, and the CVT can help keep you at the right RPMs to give you just enough power to get where you need to go. The brakes on the Rogue are pretty good. They have a natural feel to them. All 4 wheels are ventilated disc brakes, and I've had no trouble with the brakes. I've been confident in braking with the Rogue. So in conclusion, the Rogue will be just fine for just about everybody. It's spacious. There's no more third row. I didn't mention that, but they don't do a third row anymore. But truthfully, the Rogue has just enough power. If you're going to be doing a lot of highway driving and merging, things like that, it can be a little scary sometimes. Most of the time it's going to have enough, but if you really have to get on it and you've got a car full of people, that's when it feels underpowered. I'd like to see a little bit of a power bump. The steering is light, easy to use. Parking is a breeze in this thing, especially with its intelligent monitor. There's enough leg space back there. Headroom with the panoramic sunroof is a little bit hindered, so if you have people taller than me sitting in the back seat, probably bypass that sunroof. Compared to the competitors like the redesigned 2019 Rav4, the perennial good selling vehicle like the Honda CR-V, the recently upgraded CX-9, the 2019 Subaru Forester, there's a lot of competition for this. And honestly, I would probably skip the Rogue and look at one of those. This still does a lot really well, but personally, I think the other vehicles offer just as much, but drive a little bit better. The Rogue, however, does offer a decent amount for the price. So if you're looking at feature-rich vehicles, something with a lot of available features, the Rogue can give you that at a little bit of a lower price than some of those other ones. It just doesn't have some of those top-notch features like, for example, ventilated seats is just one thing. A bigger touchscreen is another thing. There's no heated rear seats, but really not very many people get that. And when you get the mid-trim like the SV, you got a pretty good value. If you want to see an SV Rogue with the Midnight package, I do have a review on that, so please be sure to check that out. But big thanks to Nissan for providing this vehicle. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave your comments down below on the Rogue and which crossover in this class you would go with. Thank y'all so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.